All right, so I just watched back through my Vietnam video, and I feel like I went a little bit too easy on the communists. Now, I feel that they were, historically speaking, in the right, but they were not good guys, and I just wanted to get into that a little bit. So I brought out my Vietnam helmet here. This was given to me by a Special Forces veteran who served in Vietnam for a pretty good chunk of the war. He was an advisor, sort of in the beginning of the war, and highly decorated, great guy. Um, but this helmet uh, actually served in Vietnam, so figured it was appropriate. So, a couple of things. First, a correction. When I said that the Chinese took over China, I meant the Chinese communists. I hope that was implied. If you don't know, I guess it's a little confusing. And then, of course, the Viet Cong were the NLF, I believe. Um, and then, let's see, they were not good people. They did subjugate their own people just as bad as the French had and the British had. If you weren't sympathetic to the communist cause, you were generally killed. Your family was killed. If you were a minority group that they didn't like the Hmong people, or Hmong, it starts with an H, but it's a Vietnamese word. They were rounding them up and killing them. And while I believe that the South was probably a little bit more evil for doing pretty much the same things, it's because they were doing it from a place of greed and not from a place of this sort of greater good. And that's kind of a little bit more perverse to me, I guess. Basically, we're talking about everybody here involved in this was a bad guy. And the only reason I side with the communists is because honestly, they had the majority of the people on their side, and it was in fact their country, and they can, if they want to communist it up, there's no reason for us to go in there and stop that, especially considering that the ideas that we had there as far as this domino effect of communism wasn't really applicable there because they didn't originally get along with the Chinese very well. I mean, the worst thing that could have happened would have been that the Chinese could have basically um, bought control in the country after the communists took over, but I honestly don't see that happening. I think that it would have slowly turned itself capitalist instead of us going in there and losing all the people that we did and causing all the destruction that we did. But aside from that, I mean, the Viet Cong's treatment of prisoners, the Viet Cong's treatment of their own people, Ho Chi Minh's treatment of people in the North were wholly deplorable. And I just wanted to make sure that I got that point home because I feel like I kind of glazed over that. These were brutal, brutal people. So take that into consideration, and especially after you watch my video. I side with the communists here, but I don't, or rather I sympathize with them, but I don't support them and I don't agree with them. All right, thanks.